Hello! Welcome to Battlestar Galactica. He's Matt, I'm Nat, and let's get started.
This week's episode is Rapture. It's the back 10 kickoff, basically, for Season 3, which is particularly interesting because...
It's a good season.
Man, it was a good start. It was a good start. It's a mythology episode.
Right.
It's, as all of their breaks basically are, except for Pegasus, but most of them are, where it's all about story, moving large overarching plots forward. We saw today, what did we see?
Yeah, okay, so I hate admitting this usually, but Matt was right about this episode. Matt had some theories, I guess for about a month now, specifically about the supernova and the temple, and the fact that they were interconnected and that no one would see anything until the supernova, went supernova. And
there it was.
Yeah.
How'd you like that?
Yeah, he's
That's
smug
right.
about that.
A little smug. So basically, we got in this episode the second time that the Cylons fit into the 13th tribe's knowledge of their existence.
Right.
Last time, it wasn't so good for the Cylons.
No, absolutely not. They had the virus on the ship.
Yeah.
That could have absolutely destroyed
The entire race.
The entire race if
Easily.
it went to the resurrection, right.
And this time around, we see not that kind of malicious act, but a rather benevolent one.
Right.
Because, as far as we can tell, this Eye of Jupiter, the temple itself was not built for humans. What would humans have seen? 5 figures standing there would have made no real sense to them, especially if one of them was a person among them. Would they have even drawn the connection that it was Cylons? It's not necessarily
Fine, maybe
true.
they wouldn't have seen the 5 people, though. Maybe they wouldn't have seen any of that at all.
They would have seen
Maybe
something
the
else.
meaning of that temple was specifically just as, I guess, the map to the next place.
Maybe. Well, that's what it is on a higher level, but I think it's important to
It's like
notice.
a dual meaning temple. The temple was built for both.
Absolutely. It's important to notice that it's possible that the 13th colony is looking at this as a means for bringing humans and Cylons into Earth together.
Right.
Working together.
Right.
Because this is giving some enlightenment to the Cylons that wouldn't necessarily have been there otherwise. Like, if the chief had stayed there, would he have gotten anything from it? Would he have really gotten anything from it at all?
But then the chief is interesting because he's the one that found it in the first place. He's the one that was drawn to it for some supernatural, inexplicable reason.
And if he hadn't found it, Cylons wouldn't have been able to figure out where it was. So many things wouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
It was them working together that did it, which is very interesting. But what does it all mean for BALTAR? That's what's on everyone's mind. I mean, he was the chosen one in the last episode. In Eye of Jupiter, they were constantly talking about the chosen one, the chosen one, the chosen one. It was all creepy and cool. Mm-hmm. I had shivers down my spine. And even Head 6 in red says again, you are the chosen one, not her, when he's spouting off his business and doing his fancy doublespeak.
Right, with the Anna on top of the mountain, yeah.
The only thing he was chosen for this week was a pistol whipping from the chief. It was great. It was great. Little irritating. I was really hoping for a big finish. I was hoping to see who at least one of the final 5 were, but we got nothing. And BALTAR got nothing. Not a good episode from BALTAR's point of view.
Perspective, yeah.
What, he's cooling his heels in the brig now with Caprica 6? And let's talk about BALTAR's transformation.
Yeah, that's kind of something that's been grating on me personally, just because I think BALTAR is fantastic. And he was charming, and, with his cigar smoking and his wit. And
his fine
he's still
suits.
witty, but...
But you know what? I personally... I don't mind the transition from a well-dressed, cigarello-smoking, rational-minded...
Jesus, essentially.
Yeah. Like, for a while, he's been growing stubble, but now...
And I guess this all goes together. He's the chosen one. He looks like a
May as well look like a prophet.
I guess it kind of works into it, but...
He's gone an impressive length from arguing the laws of a rational universe with 6 to telling Deanna Beers to give herself up to the plan of the Cylon God and just let herself go. Because over the course of 3 seasons, man, this guy has gone totally 180 in his personal beliefs. Now, you could argue that when he was saying those things to Deanna, it was just to motivate her, just to move her along.
Well, do you think he absolutely believes in all this religious God stuff?
I don't know. You can only get beaten about by an imaginary friend telling you to believe in God and seeing tangible proof that the crazy things she's saying in your crazy head are happening for so many times until eventually you have no choice but to say, okay, you're onto something. Maybe there is a God. It was a tricky episode for BALTAR. It's hard to say whether it's a winning idea to have him back on the Battlestar Galactica. Because to be honest, they shipped him in a body bag.
Yeah.
That's how unpopular Mr. Mr.
BALTAR.
President Dr. BALTAR is
Yeah.
to
all the people
to everyone on Galactica.
that was on New Caprica while he was in his presidency. Another really crazy part about this episode is HERA. So we're looking at HERA again, and she's playing a bit more of a role, it looks like.
She cries and has hair now.
Okay, fine. She's obviously an older baby. Anyway, besides that, though, the fact that Athena, I guess, dies. She forces Hilo to kill her to
What a moment.
resurrect and get her baby.
I couldn't believe how beautiful that was. Like, it was amazing. Like, you get a hint. There's no build-up of, oh, kill me. No, I can't kill you.
No,
it's
not
just
at all.
nothing until you hear the
You just brought in
boom,
right at the moment.
the blood splatter,
Yeah.
and then cut out a tease. It was beautiful. Like, that, whoever edited that one, you guys know what you're doing. Very well done. Very well done. That was beautiful. But yeah, so she's back on the Battlestar Galactica after a very, very easy one-episode trip.
It was really easy for her to get that
Yeah.
baby and come back, wasn't it?
Now-
I was expecting a little more fight
If
from
it
the
wasn't for
Cylons
the fact
personally.
that she bumped into Caprica 6 right away, and then Caprica 6 was willing to go hop on over to Galactica.
Yeah, I don't know why she's back either. I'm curious about it.
I
but
did enjoy the interplay between Boomer and Athena, the dueling Sharons, because, like, I'm really getting their, like, they have a very cool relationship. These last 2 episodes have been really the only time that they've had a chance to talk to one another
Right.
about the 2 different directions that their lives in service.
They just have switched places. I mean, like, Boomer was one that thought she was human the whole time,
Yeah.
and then realizes she's a Cylon and says "psha" to humans. And Athena's the one that
The whole time knew she was a
She knew
Cylon,
she was a Cylon.
thought she was screwing over Hilo, and now she's the one that has their trust.
has their trust and seems to just, well, I mean, as far as we can tell right now, seems to just really like being human.
But there was a
fighting
moment.
fighting, all the silent programming.
But you know
that's
what?
in
There
her.
was that moment when she comes out of that bath
Oh yeah,
and she says that this is where she's safest, that it proved it to her, when I just thought, oh no.
I know. I really thought she meant it.
It was convincing. No wonder 6 went for it. But yeah, I'm enjoying the interplay between the twins, the two Sharons. I hope we get
That'll
to
be
see more of
interesting.
that.
Oh, and of course, like, well, we were talking about it before, how Boomer took it so personal that HERA, even though Boomer and Sharon are biologically the same, the baby, for some bizarre reason, knew who her mother was.
And the fact that this isn't even the body that gave birth to her. As much as she was,
that's right.
oh, well, look, you're biologically similar, but, one of you is obviously the mother and one of you isn't. It's not even the body that gave birth
No,
to
not
HERA,
at all.
but HERA could still tell, which raises an interesting question, because the next time Athena goes walking into a Cylon virus-infested
That's
area,
right.
she
won't
doesn't have the body
the
that
body
had all
that had
those...
the human,
Exactly.
like placenta, and the
Exactly.
human cells.
So that easy escape that they had last time won't be there. So she's
That's
going
interesting.
down.
Well, why do you think HERA recognized her if she is indeed biologically the same as the other one, and wasn't even the body that gave birth to her?
That's an interesting question.
Is
Very
it the whole
interesting question.
soul question, possibly? Do Cylons have a soul? Is that
they?
something that
Do
HERA could understand?
Maybe that's it. New theories that this episode brings around. New theories. Deanna apologizes to one of the 5 Cylons. Arguably the only one that she saw significance in.
Right, because she kind of passed over the other ones.
She looked at everyone and then went directly to this one and apologized. And you have to ask, who has Deanna, or more largely, who has the Cylon really screwed over the most? My automatic reaction is Ty.
Yeah, they did screw him over quite a bit.
And really, when Ty came to power,
But it wasn't really Deanna that screwed him over that much. It was specifically
It seemed like Cavill.
Cavill,
Yeah, it seemed like Cavill.
Like,
And-
I personally, like, if we're gonna go that far and say, who did they piss off or who did they screw around with, then I'd say Starbuck. They had her like solitary confinement with Leoben.
But again, that was Leoben who was doing that.
See, it's the same thing. So
Who has
it could be
Deanna
either
pissed
of them
off?
or neither of them.
Could be. It's a very interesting question. Anyway, hopefully we'll get something resolved, because next week's episode looks like it's very Starbuck-centric, although I'm afraid it's going to be Starbuck and Apollo and Sam and Duala. And it's going to be that
love.
Yeah, which is
Square.
an interesting love square for sure. And hopefully we'll see a bit more of this mystical Kara come into the foreground.
Yeah,
Even-
that blew my mind at the end of the episode.
That was
blew
brilliant.
my
I
mind.
need to go back and watch those episodes and see if that painting's actually there. Very interesting. Well, we'll
guess
see
we'll
you
see.
next week, and that's it for Baltar Galacticast.
Thanks. Bye, Matt. Bye.
Bye.